I accidentally clicked the wrong title. Anyways, I ended up going back to change it. Maybe I'll call it like a symbol, something else.
The gods have spoken. You need a new, clean, heavenly body wash with Native.
WWE 2K24 could be in a little bit of trouble when it comes to the roster. There's a couple of different superstars, wrestlers that we just may not end up seeing in the game, and it could put 2K in a very, very tight spot with the timeline of the game coming out in like a month right now. So while I was on vacation for like a week, everything just came, so much happened. So the big news outside of 2K was to do with Vince McMahon. Now I'm not going to get into everything here. You guys have read it. You know what's going on. It's horrifying, all of it. And the allegations and the investigation involves a lot of different people. So sticking with Vince McMahon for a second, WWE is basically erasing Vince McMahon, his whole legacy, anything to do with WWE right now. WWE.com doesn't feature Vince McMahon. In fact, if you search under roster, you'll find his dad, you'll find Stephanie, you'll find Shane, you will not find Vince. So for all intents and purposes, Vince is gone. He is totally removed. Now, when it comes to the video game, what does this mean for 40 years of WrestleMania? Vince McMahon has had big moments when it comes to WrestleMania. We don't know for sure what the match list is going to be, but we do know that we're going to get 21 WrestleMania matches in showcase mode. Now, I do like that we're going to get 21 matches. It's 40 years WrestleMania. What do you guys think about that though? Some people are complaining that we're only going to get 21 out of 40 years of Mania, but it definitely is a step up from the previous years where we're getting like 12, 13 matches and they're kind of meh. So with 21 WrestleMania matches, would it be possible that Vince McMahon was going to be in one of those matches? Potentially. There's a couple of different WrestleMania moments that Vince has had. Some Mania matches, a little entertaining, some are cringe. 2010, he had his match against Bret Hart, which was, I didn't like this at all. This was terrible. Like, I really didn't like this. And that was WrestleMania 26. Now, I don't think they would do this one because it's a sloppy mess and it involved a lot of the Hart family, so you're not going to get all of that in there. And it really wasn't memorable. I don't think it would even qualify to be put in there to the showcase mode. Now, big one that I think was monumental during the Attitude Era was Vince versus Shane at WrestleMania 17. This was like a no-hold-barred street fight. You got Linda McMahon popping out of the chair. Mick Foley is in there too as the special guest referee. I could see this match being in the showcase mode because it was a pretty substantial moment. Trish was in there at ringside. It was a lot of shenanigans. And because of the inclusion of Mick Foley with special guest referee, that is the big highlight this year, possible that that match could be in there. Now, at WrestleMania 19, he had his one-on-one match against Hulk Hogan, brother. So this was another like no holds barred street fight. I think even the stipulation was like if Vince wins, Hogan retires, which was not gonna happen. And And it still never happens. He's still running around like he's acting like he's gonna come back. No one needs that. But with Hulk Hogan being heavily featured throughout WrestleMania, obviously, he started off WrestleMania. He's just advertised everywhere. He's on the cover. Potential that we get this match in the game, but I still don't think it would be very likely. The one that I kind of feel like could be in there is the one in 2006. WrestleMania 22, Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon in like a no holds barred match. And the big iconic moment in this match, and it's fairly entertaining, is Michaels going off the top of the ladder to Vince McMahon on a table with the trash can around his head, which is what everyone should want to try to do to Vince nowadays.
That's not an insult, that is just a fact of life. Yeah.
So this match, very entertaining, very possible that we would see it in a WrestleMania showcase. Now, there's a very good chance that none of these matches with Vince would even be in a showcase mode because there's so many across 40 years or 39 WrestleManias that they could pull from. And it feels like we are going to get a decent amount showcased from every kind of like generation of WrestleMania, from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and so on into the modern era. But if Vince has to be removed from showcase, that's going to be tricky. That's going to put 2K in a very difficult position, in my opinion, because they need to put these matches together, have it balanced. They got the slingshot tag with all of the cutscenes put in there. I would worry that they would have to just simply remove something and not be able to replace it in time. That's assuming that Vince is going to be in the showcase mode. Vince McMahon may just be removed from the video game period. So if there is a showcase match with Vince in it, WWE might be turning around right now and have told 2K, you got to get him out of this thing. We don't want him anywhere, just like he is just gone from the history of WWE. I don't think they want him featured in any capacity whatsoever. So if he's not in the showcase mode, my prediction, Vince McMahon is gone from the 2K games. But there is another name that could have, I think, even bigger impact in the 2K game in 2K24, and that is going to be Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is also tied in with the allegations and the current investigation going on with Vince. We're not getting into the details there, but Brock is noted and named to be part of this, and we're seeing him being removed already from other elements of WWE. The first big one that we noticed right away was that they took him out of WWE Supercard, the mobile game. You cannot get Brock Lesnar in Supercard. I believe there are reports online and other Supercard creators out there too that have said you can get, if you've already got Brock Lesnar, you keep him, but you will not be able to go and find or get a new card of Brock Lesnar in Supercard. But this begs the question of what's going to happen with 2K24. Brock Lesnar is on the cover of the 40 Years of WrestleMania edition of the game. He's right there. Now, will they change just the cover of the video game? Very likely. That's my guess here. I know that we are close to the game being printed and shipped, but because they're removing Brock, everything going on with the investigation, they're not going to want to advertise and promote this guy whatsoever, much like Vince McMahon. So in my opinion, I think they are going to do a cover change. I think we will see a quick swap out. They'll keep everything the same, and we're simply going to get that Brock Lesnar fade into dust, and you'll see somebody else inserted. They could put anybody from WrestleMania for WWE over the years. You could put Ultimate Warrior on the cover. You could put a female legend on there too. You could put Trish Stratus on the cover. But it would also depend on who is featured in the showcase mode. You could put Macho Man Randy Savage, Rick Rude. There are different names we could obviously put on the cover, and in that spot of the cover where Brock is, it seems fairly easy to just cut him right out of there. Now that's the cover. What about the game? What about the matches? What about showcase mode? Brock Lesnar is a huge part of WrestleMania and has had some very important matches in WrestleMania history, good and bad. Like the absolutely terrible Brock versus Goldberg match at WrestleMania 20 with Austin being the special guest referee. Both of them were leaving. That might also, by the way, we might get that scenario with Rock Roman this year. It's gonna be kind of crazy. We could get a repeat of this. But as much as people didn't like Goldberg versus Brock, the first one, with Austin in there, it's special guest referee. It's a potential that they replay that. Now, they may not, because I don't know the contract situation with Goldberg and WWE. We know he's gone. We know he is not with WWE anymore. We know Goldberg is going to do his own thing. He might do a retirement tour, but we don't know if he has any type of Legends deal, or from the time that he exited WWE, would he have still qualified for the WWE 2K video game merchandise and things like that. So if Goldberg's out, then we don't get any of the other Goldberg matches, the other WrestleMania match with Goldberg, but the big one would be the streak. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. That's historic. I didn't like Brock beating the streak. It didn't make any sense. He didn't need it. He's had matches against Triple H at like WrestleMania 29, I think. He's had the endless Roman Reigns matches. We know WrestleMania 36 is being featured in some capacity. They might have the Brock Drew McIntyre match, which is just in the Performance Center. The big one for me is WrestleMania 19, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. That's Brock's big crowning moment, and doing the shooting star press, and he's still won. To me, that and the streak match are the big Brock Lesnar matches at WrestleMania. And if it's 2K, they might pull one of the Roman Reigns, one of the many Roman Reigns matches. They might pull the one where Seth Rollins cashed in and became a triple threat match and Seth won. They might recreate that. So with Brock Lesnar, I find it even more of an interesting situation than that of Vince McMahon. I think with Vince, if he's not in showcase, again, he just gets erased, boom, he's done. With Brock, I think it's a little more complicated. they might get him completely removed and we don't see him at all. If they're already getting him out of Supercard, I think that there's good a chance that they're already going to be working to get him out of the 2K game, if not downplayed.
Take notes, I'm not going to repeat myself.
You might just find common ground after all.
Put him in showcase.
I can multitask.
And not him be a playable
You
character.
decided to take me up on my...
Insider has a little bit of a write-up on this, saying that, quote, it would appear that 2K as a license for WWE is following the company's lead after WWE backed off on using Lesnar last weekend at the Royal Rumble event. So for the Royal Rumble, Brock was supposed to come into the Rumble and he was going to get eliminated by Dom or eliminate Dom, and then they were going to set up Gunther versus Brock for WrestleMania. We didn't get that. We got Braun Breaker essentially put into the Brock Lesnar spot. PW Insider continues saying, going forward, PWInsider.com has been told by sources familiar to the matter that we should expect to see Lesnar downplayed, if not outright removed, as he was in the Supercard game, as much as possible going forward by 2K and potentially other licensees. So a couple of things could happen here with Brock in the game. Either completely remove him and remove any match he might have in showcase mode. They might get him off the cover. I think that is almost the one thing they will definitely try to do, because that's a little bit easier. Because they are so close to the launch of the game, they might not be able to have time to pull him out. It's not that simple of just deleting the match and give us 20 matches at WrestleMania. We don't know how many matches Brock was going to be in showcase mode. So if they remove him, they might substitute in with another match, but I feel like that's going to be way too difficult and too much of a tight timeline for them, for 2K dev team, to really try to fix that and change that. What I can see them doing is downplaying Brock completely. Keep him in the showcase mode because it's already basically printed done and the timeline is way too tight, thus keeping him in the game as a playable character with any unlockables or anything like that, again assuming he's in the showcase mode. And they just kind of leave it as is, remove him from the cover, and they move on, and then every single 2K thing going forward, any game, he's not in the game. And this could be the very last game, it probably is the last one we would see of Brock Lesnar, definitely Vince McMahon, being in a 2K game. But we got more to talk about with 2K24, so guys, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.
I think I got time to do one more video. I gotta go to this interview, training. But, yeah, I go there at 2 o'clock. I gotta leave at like around 1:30 though. Call Uber.